death. It's probably the worst thing that's gonna ever happen to you. But knowing you're gonna die soon in a very horrible way, now that's a real-life nightmare. This is a true story. Please comment below what you think about it. On the morning of August 12, 2000, 33 of Russia's best naval warships would stop at a certain spot at the Barents Sea to conduct a military exercise. They were out there playing out war scenarios between submarines and warships. They were practicing the practice of war. They weren't really using missiles or torpedoes. They were using duds that didn't really explode. So at 9 a.m., Admiral Popov would start the training by telling one submarine, fire 2 duds at that target. 24 hours into the training, the next morning, Admiral Popov would step to the side and speak to reporters. He would tell them everything is going well, just as planned. However, some of the family members of people on a submarine had heard a rumor that things were not right. Family members became worried and contacted the naval base. The naval base operator told them, relax, everything's okay. But the naval base operator would slip up to one family member and say, yeah, I heard that rumor, and it might be true. So the person asked the operator, please tell us more about it. And the operator would say, sorry, I can't. So the family members contacted the media, and as soon as the media received the story, they would go and speak to Admiral Popov. Admiral Popov didn't say anything and just ignored the issue. This kind of reassured the family members that everything was okay, because if Admiral Popov is just ignoring the issue and still out there training, then it must be okay. 48 hours after this training had started, on August 14th, Russian officials would go on TV and say, yes, the rumor is true. One of our submarines, the Kursk, has experienced minor difficulties and had to go to the bottom of the sea. But don't worry, we're pumping power and air and we're in good contact with the crew. We got this. Family members became worried, but they remembered that the Kursk submarine was just like the Titanic. It was Russia's best and finest. It was the size of 2 large football fields, and it was made from this special steel that would take a direct hit from a torpedo and just keep on going. It was unsinkable, just like the Titanic. Days would pass by and the government wasn't saying anything, and the Kursk was still underwater. Everyone started to panic and speculate, and on August 21st, a Norwegian dive team that was assisting in the rescue effort would enter the Kursk through an escape hatchet, and what they saw would shock you. No one really knows what took place in the Kursk, because none of us were there. But the Kursk was divided into 9 watertight segments called compartments, and we would find a note left behind in compartment number 9 by one of the crew members that would tell us what took place in the Kursk. 27-year-old Dmitry Klestikov would leave us a note behind, letting us know exactly what happened inside the Kursk that day. 4 months before this incident, Dmitry would marry a school teacher named Olga, and the very first thing he would do, he would give her a tour inside the Kursk, and she would bring a video camera, and he was all smiles. He was so proud of his job. Fast forward to August 12, 2000, where Demetrius, along with 117 crew members, were ready to start their military exercise. The captain of the Kursk would radio Admiral Popov at 11:27 a.m. and tell him, we're gonna fire our 2 dummy torpedoes now. The men in the first compartment started loading the dummy torpedoes, the fake ones. Meanwhile, Demetrius was in the seventh compartment, the engine room. He was working the dials, and all of a sudden... What happened? What happened? Time out, time out, time out. Today's everyone's lucky day, because I'm gonna give everyone that's watching this video something for 100% free. I'm gonna give you guys a free prayer. God bless anyone that hits that like button under this video. Alright, time back in. Let's go back. What happened was one of the real torpedoes in the first compartment had malfunctioned and really exploded. But the Kursk was so well built by Russia that nothing happened to the exterior and it didn't sink, but it destroyed the interior. Meanwhile, in the seventh compartment, Dmitri was the one in charge, so he would tell his men, "Take emergency protocol, seal door number 6 and seal door number 8. The submarine was filled with smoke and fire, and it tilted because the captain tried his best to surface back up, but couldn't. And once the fire reached the other live torpedoes... and everyone in cabinets 1 through 5 were dead, because this time the exterior broke and water came through. At 11:32 a.m., just 4 minutes after the initial explosion, the Kursk would slam the ocean floor 350 feet deep, nose first. Then the back would land. We don't know exactly what took place in the first 2 hours of this disaster, but we know they had power and the air purifiers were working. Despite all that smoke and everything, it was still relatively easy for them to still breathe. And we also know that Demetrius would break emergency protocol and unseal door number 6 once he heard other crew members banging on it. Help me! Once he opened that door, he would see that the submarine was flooding. He knew this was bad. He was running out of time. By 1:30 p.m., Demetrius and everyone alive had to go all the way back to cabinet number 9. Even though they had sealed tight doors, the explosion destroyed the walls that it was flooding. Despite everything that's going on, Demetrius remains calm, and he would pull out a note from his pocket, write the date and time on it, and say, "I'm with 22 other men, and we tried going out the escape hatchet, but it didn't work." And he would explain the situation down there and put the note back in his pocket. An hour and a half later, they would lose power, and it would become pitch black in that room, and because they lost power, it would become colder and colder and colder. And also, freezing water was coming in, and they started to shiver. They knew it was only a matter of time. Demetrius would pull out the note from his pocket again and write, "I'm writing blind. I'm writing blind." And he would write a farewell letter to his wife and family and say, "No need to despair. I'm out." We don't know exactly how long it took these men to die, but experts say the Kursk submarine was completely flooded within 8 hours. What's so heartbreaking about this case is that Demetrius and the 22 men could have been saved if the Russian response was more urgent and coordinated. After the Kursk had fired the 2 dummy torpedoes, no one was able to get in touch with them. But the Russians didn't take it seriously. They said, "Oh, it's probably the radio or something." They didn't take the problem serious until later that evening. Several hours later, they got a rescue submersible down there, but it couldn't even latch to the escape hatchet. The Russians could not get into that escape hatch and would not accept foreign aid from any other country. They kept trying for days and days. They just couldn't get in. Finally, on the 9th day, they accepted foreign aid from the Norwegians. And the Norwegians would get in there and they would find floating bodies everywhere. And they would find Demetrius's body and that note. Russia would go on to award the entire Kursk crew with the Order of Courage Award and give everyone's family 10 years' salary and give them free housing in any Russian city they wanted. And their children all went to college for free, completely paid for. I'm Ahmed Bassioni, and I wanted to thank you guys for watching today's video. God bless you. I owe you guys one. Please like, share, and subscribe. I'm out of this joint.